Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to crack open a case file and take a really close look at one of psychology's classic tools, the Beck Depression Inventory. We're not just going to talk about what it is, we're going to see how it's actually used with a real person. So let's get right into it.
But first, let's just stop and think about this for a second. How do you measure a feeling? I mean, really, how do you take something as personal and complex as sadness or hope or hopelessness and turn it into a number, something you can actually track and work with?
Well, that is the big challenge, isn't it? And for well over half a century now, one of the most common answers to that very question has been a specific tool designed to do just that, to put a number on a mood.
Now, before we dig into the tool itself, we have to be super clear on what it's trying to measure. The way our source material puts it, depression isn't just feeling sad for a day or two. It's a common mood disorder that can really hang around, affecting how you feel, how you think, a continuous feeling of sadness or even emptiness. It's that persistence that makes a good measurement tool so important.
And that brings us right to the BDI. This thing was developed by a psychiatrist named Aaron T. Beck way back in 1961. It's basically a 21-question checklist where you report on your own symptoms, and you see it used all over the place, in clinics and in research, because it's a pretty straightforward way to get a read on how severe a person's symptoms might be. But, a tool like this doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's only as good as the idea behind it. So to really get what the BDI is doing, we need to pop the hood and look at the psychological engine it's running on. It's a concept called the negative triad. See, Aaron Beck wasn't just making a quiz. He had this really powerful idea. He believed that depression is kept alive by a particular pattern of negative thinking, a kind of feedback loop that operates in 3 specific areas of our lives. He called it the cognitive triad, or, you guessed it, the negative triad.
Okay, so part 1 of this triad is having a negative view of yourself. This is that little voice in your head that can be so critical, the one that whispers things like, I am useless, or I'm just not good enough. And that is exactly why the BDI has questions that measure things like guilt or feelings of failure and self-dislike.
All right, part 2 is a negative view of the world. This is when you start seeing everything through like a negative lens. It's when you're constantly interpreting what happens to you in a bad way, and everything just feels wrong or overwhelming. The BDI gets at this by asking about stuff like pessimism, irritability, and whether you've lost interest in things you used to enjoy. And the third and really crucial part of this whole thing is a negative view of the future. This is pure hopelessness. It's the belief that things are bad right now and they are never going to get better. Beck saw this as a total cornerstone of depression, which of course is why his inventory gets right to the point and asks you how you feel about what's coming.
Okay, so that's the theory, the why behind the test. Now for the fun part. Let's see how it all works in practice. We're going to open up our case file and look at exactly how this test was given to a real person. All right, let's look at the file. Our subject is a 16-year-old female, a high school student. Pretty standard stuff, but this gives us the basic human context for the test we're about to break down.
Now this part is so important. Look at the setup here. Before they even handed her the questionnaire, they just talked. They built a rapport. This isn't just a formality. It's absolutely critical. You have to make sure the person feels comfortable and at ease so they can give honest answers. And they took great care to get the conditions just right. They made sure the room was calm and quiet, the seating was comfortable, and check this out. No time limit. That's huge. The goal here is thoughtful self-reflection, not a race against the clock.
So, the stage is set. The test has been taken under all the right conditions. The theory is in place. So, what was the result? And maybe more importantly, what does that result actually mean? So after working through those 21 questions, each one asking her to pick a statement that best described how she'd been feeling, they tallied up all the points. So, what was the final number?
The subject's total score was 17. Now, 17, what on earth does that mean? A number by itself is just a number, right? To make any sense of it, we need to look at the official scoring key. And here it is, straight from our source material. As you can see, that score of 17 falls right in this range here, categorized as borderline clinical level of distress. Okay, borderline clinical distress. That sounds pretty serious, doesn't it? But what does it actually mean in plain English? Well, according to the analysis in the case file, it basically suggests that, yeah, this person is probably dealing with some emotional challenges, maybe some low energy, some negative thoughts popping up, but it's not at a level where it's seriously getting in the way of their day-to-day life.
And this right here is probably the most important slide of this whole explainer. We have to be crystal clear on what this score is and what it is not. It suggests there might be some emotional difficulties. It suggests that maybe mood and motivation are taking a hit. It's a flag for the importance of self-care. But what it is not is a clinical diagnosis of depression. It's not a permanent state, and it is absolutely 100% not a complete picture of who this person is.
So for a result like this, the case file actually points to some really simple, practical coping strategies. We're talking about the basics here, things we all kind of know we should be doing but can easily forget. Stuff like relaxation exercises, making time for hobbies, getting good sleep, and just talking to people who have your back.
And this all circles back to the single most important takeaway, which the source material says perfectly. A BDI score is a cross-sectional snapshot. Think of it like a photo. It's a picture of a single moment in time reflecting how someone felt on that one particular day. That score could be totally different a week or a month later.
Which really leaves us with this final thought. If a score is just a snapshot and not the whole movie, then how can we use tools like the BDI not as a way to put people in boxes or slap a label on them, but as a starting point, a way to begin better, more informed, and hopefully more compassionate conversations about mental health?